Good morning, sweeties. How are you doing today? Today's class is going to be reading. We are going to complete reading our story, The Case of Gasping Garbage. Last time we started with the vocabs and then we talked about the genre. Then we started reading the first two pages only. Our story is talking about fifth graders, Nell Fossey and Drake Doyle. They are both super clever. They are called the science detectives. They always find the right answers and they always find solutions for any problem related to science. They use science and they use their own thinking skills because they're really smart to solve the problems. They actually solved 4 cases, including monster mission, Suck truck, gasping garbage, and traveling frogs. Our story is talking about the gasping garbage. This is the part that we are already reading. Here are the story links. One link is to listen if you want to know how to pronounce some hard words, and the other link is for you to read. The genre of the story is, if you remember, realistic fiction. And when we say realistic fiction, we just go to this word real. So it is a story that based on real people or real characters, a real setting, and real events. So all the events in the story are real. Did they happen with us as readers? No, they didn't happen, but they could happen. So, realistic fiction is talking about real events that could happen with anybody in this life. Okay, and here is the YouTube if you want to watch it again so you can remember. This link leads us to the vocabulary. Let's make a quick revision for the vocabs. So we will be on the safe side. Okay, vocabulary. The first word was analysis. Analysis is a noun. Analysis means when you separate the problem that you have in parts so you can solve it easily. Or when you have an object and you don't know what is it made of, for example, so you can analyze or you can separate it into parts to know what is it made of. So when I'm talking about analysis, I am talking about a situation or a problem, or I am talking about an object, a thing. Beakers. Beakers are containers like these. They could be glass or metal containers. We mostly use them in the labs, science labs. Hollow. Hollow is an adjective, so it describes something. So if I'm describing anything as hollow, it means I'm talking about this thing that it is empty or it has nothing inside it. It has only air. So hollow is the word that describes, and it means when you are talking about a thing that has nothing in it, it's only air, it's totally empty. Like this hole, there is nothing inside it, it's only air. It is hollow. Identity is also a noun. Identity, it shows who you are. Okay? It is, when I say your identity, it means I am telling people who you are or what you are. Exactly. Lecture. Lecture is also a noun. Lecture is when you plan to talk about a specific subject, and this subject is introduced in front of an audience. So a lot of people are listening to your lecture that talking about a specific topic or subject. Like what happens in the universities, if I have a class in the university, I don't say that I have a class, I say that I have a lecture because a lot of students, a lot of audiences watch your lecture. Microscope. Microscope is a device with lenses, and this device make me able to see the small things that I can't see with my eyes. If there are really tiny things that I can't see with my size, I can see them through the microscope. Precise. Precise is an adjective. It describes the person who are really accurate. So, if I am giving you an answer for a specific situation or a problem or whatever, I give you the exact answer. I am really accurate. If I am talking about a specific number, I go to the number as it is. I don't go before, I don't go after. I just go to the same number because I am accurate. The exact. Relentless. It is an adjective and it means you don't give up. If you have a big situation and you can find a solution for it, you don't simply give up. No, you try your best to find your solution. So, relentless when you don't give up. Okay, now these are the vocabs. I hope that they are all clear for you. If there is anyone isn't clear, let me know, please. Okay, now to take a look at the first two pages that we already read, we read pages 28 and 29. Page 28 and 29, these pages were talking about Doyle and Fossey, the science detectives, and they were talking about how clever they are and how they are accurate to follow the rules of being a good scientist. Doyle, one day he was making his experiments and somebody called him. The person who called him had a big problem, the problem that there is a monster in his or her garbage can. So when Doyle listened to the problem, he was really interested and he said, I will leave all of my experiments and all of the things that I am doing because the problems that people ask me to solve are more important than my important experiments. Okay, now before we, of course, they have their own lab. They made this lab in their home in the attic. And on this lab, they have materials like chalkboard, they have racks of test tubes, flasks, and beakers. Okay, so they made the lab themselves for themselves to work inside it. The characters are the main character is Dark Doyle. Dark Doyle is the head scientist. He is the genius scientist. Okay. Nell Fossey. Nell Fossey is his partner. We have Gabby Talberg and James Frisco. We just knew Dark Doyle and Nell Fossey. Gabby and James, we did not know anything about them yet. So, Dark Doyle is the head scientist. Nell Fossey is his partner. The setting of the story is going in two places. The first place is in Doyle's lab when he made in his attic at home, and the second setting is in Gabby's garbage next to the furnace. We'll talk about this more. Okay, there is a problem. The problem says that Gabby called Doyle, okay, because she believes there is a monster in her garbage can. So the problem already started in our story. Let's see what will happen next. So let's complete reading right now. We are going to page 30 and let's start.
Gabby Talberg, she shrieked. Hurry! Hurry! Oh, hi, Gabby. Gabby Talberg was in Drake's 5th grade class at school. She was a nice girl, even if she did talk too much. Now calm down and speak slowly. What seems to be the problem?
So as we said, a person called Doyle and he said that he has a big problem. Actually, this person is she, not he. She is Gabby Talberg. Who is Gabby Talberg? Gabby is a student in fifth grade, so she is on the same class with Doyle and Fossey. And she knows that they are creative and they are smart in science. So she had a problem and she wanted them to help her. So she was talking in a hurry. She was really afraid. So he just told her, calm down and tell me what is your problem and speak slowly so I can listen to you.
Speak slowly? Are you nuts? I said there's a huge, giant, blood-sucking monster in my garbage can, and it's growing bigger and bigger every second, and I'm alone in the house, and it's going to gobble me up, and I don't want to be someone's dinner. Gabby gasped for breath.
So he told her to speak slowly. So when she started to speak slower, she said that she has a huge and giant monster in her garbage can and she is alone at home and she's really afraid and she wants somebody to help her.
Drake was excited. This could prove to be a great day for Doyle and Fossey, science detectives.
He was really excited not because of the problem itself or not because he's happy that his friend has a problem. No, he was excited because it is his chance for he and Fossey together as science detectives so they can improve themselves. They can show people how clever they are.
They'd never had a monster assignment before. And of course, it would be a great day for the small town of Mossy Lake. They'd publish their findings in the local newspaper. Garbage-eating monster discovered. Mossy Lake's garbage problems solved. Maybe they'd even lecture at Mossy Lake University. But Drake couldn't allow his excitement to overwhelm his good scientific sense. That was the first rule of science. And Drake was a stickler about rules of science.
Okay, so when she called him and he knew that there is a big problem, he was really excited. Why? Because number one, he wants to show people that he is a science detective and he is super clever and he is a good scientist. Number two, it is the first time for him to have a problem or an assignment that talks about monsters. So it is something new for him. Number three, he started dreaming. So on this moment, he dreams and he hopes to have all these things and have them happening with him. So he was dreaming that he would be the detective of science, that he would be the super clever one, he would be the super clever scientist. And he was dreaming and he just said, maybe if I solve the problem, they will just put it on the newspaper. So they will write it on the news that monster was on a garbage and Joel and Fossey just solved the problem. And to add to his dreams, he said maybe when we become famous, they will ask us to have a lecture at Mossy Lake University. So maybe I will be a professor or I'll be a person who just give lectures to people so people can come and listen to me and take pictures and I'll be a very famous person and super clever one.
Gabby Tallberg, but Drake couldn't allow his excitement to overwhelm his good scientific sense. That was the first rule of science. And Drake was a stickler about rules of science.
Okay, now here
Let's think about
it shows us how he is accurate and how he applies the rules of the science one by one. So he was really excited, right? And he was really happy because he has a big problem to solve, but he cannot show people that he is excited because one of the science rules says that you have to be serious. So he follows the rules and he apply them one by one. He is serious person, although he is really excited from deep inside himself, but he shows that he is serious because the scientist or the scientific sense tells you that you have to always be serious. You don't have to show your excitement.
He cleared his throat and forced himself to speak calmly. "What makes you think there's a monster?" he asked. "All kinds of weird gasping noises are coming from my garbage can. Something's inside. Hurry, Drake. You have to come over immediately and get rid of it, because if you don't, I'll just have to call James Frisco."
Okay, now as a scientist, of course, if he is a good one and he wants to really solve the problems, he has to ask questions. So he started asking her that what makes her feel that there is a monster, and he started to behave like he is really calm and quiet person who asks to know before he goes to solve. Now, when she started telling him the problem, she said that you have to come right now, immediately, or right now. She told him, if you don't come immediately or right now, get rid of the monster, I will call Frisco. So she said, I am afraid, I have a problem, you have to come to solve it immediately, right now, and you have to come to get rid of the monster. Get rid of, it means to move it away. Okay? And she told him, if you don't come immediately, I will call James Frisco.
"Great Scott," thought Drake, horrified. "Not James Frisco." Frisco was in their fifth-grade class at school. Frisco was a competitor. Frisco was a scientist, but he was a bad scientist. A very bad scientist. A mad scientist, you might say. Frisco's business card read,
So when she said that I'll call James Frisco, what was his feeling? He was really horrified. He was like nervous. He doesn't want her to call James Frisco. Why? Who is James Frisco? James Frisco is also a scientist, but it seems that he is a competitor. It means he is in a competition with Fossey and Doyle. So he is another scientist. He's not working with Fossey and Doyle. He is a competitor, so he is competing them. So if they are competing each other to know who is the best. But what is the problem with the Frisco? Frisco, the scientist, yes, but he was a bad scientist. Not only bad scientist, he was also a mad scientist. Imagine how they described Frisco, a bad and a mad scientist. Why? Now Frisco, if he just prepare a card for himself for people to read it, he will just write this.
he clicked, "Frisco, bad, mad scientist. Better than Doyle and Fossey. Call me, day or night. 555-6190.
So his card says that I am a scientist, I am a mad scientist, and I am better than Doyle and Fossey. See, he doesn't have what is called sportsmanship. He is a one that he wants to be the one and only, so nobody can compete him because he is the best. This is what he thinks. Okay, so when he just tried a card for people to read about his science, he just say that I am better than Doyle and Fossey. So call me instead of calling them. So he thinks that he is the best scientist ever.
Why was Frisco such a bad, mad scientist? Because if Frisco didn't like a number, he erased it. Because if an experiment asked for pink, Frisco used blue. Because if an experiment called for 2, Frisco used 1 or 3. But most especially, because if an experiment said adult supervision required or else, Frisco did it anyway. Alone.
So we know that he is a bad and a mad scientist, and we know that he is a competitor. He wants to compete with Doyle and he wants to be better than him. But we didn't know why they call him bad mad scientist. What is he doing to be a mad scientist? Number one, if he doesn't like a number or he doesn't like a situation, he does the opposite of it. So if the experiment says or asks for the pink color, he goes for blue. He doesn't follow the instructions. Or if the experiment is calling for number 2, he just goes for number 1 or number 3. So he doesn't go on the number that the experiment is asking for. He goes on 1 or 3, but not on number 2. And if the experiment says that this experiment is really dangerous and you need to have an adult with you to help you, what does he do? He do it anyways by himself. So Frisco is a scientist who doesn't follow the rules. He always does the opposite of what is needed. And this is really bad because all the scientists should follow the rules like what Doyle and Fossey.
Drake knew that if Gabby hired Frisco, there was no telling what could happen. Knowing Frisco's sloppy scientific techniques, Frisco might let the monster out of the can, and he and Gabby would never be seen again, gobbled in the blink of an eye.
So he said that Doyle was afraid to call Frisco because Frisco is a bad mad scientist, and number 2 because if Gabby calls Frisco to help her with the situation, what would happen? If Frisco comes to help her with his sloppy scientific techniques, sloppy means that his experiments are unclear and he is super careless. So if he comes to find a solution with his unclear and with his sloppy and being careless scientist, what would happen is that he and Gabby will be eaten by the monster within a blink of an eye. So the monster is going to eat them both super fast, as if you are just blinking your eyes, they will disappear. The monster will eat them both because he couldn't solve such a problem.
Drake, said Gabby. Drake, are you there? I said you have to come over immediately and get rid of it, or else I'll call Frisco.
Why Doyle or Drake wasn't answering her from the beginning or from the first time she called him? Because he was thinking of all such things. He was thinking of bad mad scientist. He was thinking of what would happen if Frisco, this bad and mad scientist, would come instead of him to solve the problem. So she told him like a last warning, are you there? And you just have to remember to come immediately, to come right now and get rid of this monster, or I will call Frisco. So I am warning you.
Check. I'll be right there. Click. Drake phoned Nell. She was the most fabulous partner an amateur scientist and detective genius could have. Whenever they had a serious case, Nell dropped everything and reported for duty. Doyle and Fossey, she answered, picking up the phone on its first ring. Drake here. Meet me at Gabby's house right away. Gabby's garbage is gasping.
So Doyle directly called his partner. She is Fossey. And when he called her, she answered directly from the first ring. When they say that she answers directly from the first ring, they are giving us hints that Fossey is an accurate person. She is clever enough to be on time when she is needed for any problem. So when she answered, she says Doyle and Fossey, the same as Doyle when he answers the phone. First thing he says, Doyle and Fossey. So he told her that there is a problem with Gabby and you have to come to her house right now because the garbage has a monster inside.
Right. Click. Nell was already waiting on Gabby's porch by the time Drake arrived. He wasn't surprised, as she was the fastest runner in the 5th grade.
So he called her and he said that we have to go to Gabby's house, so I'll meet you there. When Doyle arrived, Gabby was waiting for him. So Gabby reached before him. So this is another hint that they are giving us to tell us that she is really accurate person. Plus, she is the fastest runner on the whole fifth grade. So, first two things we knew about Fossey, that she is the fastest runner in her classroom and she is really accurate and she follows directions and instructions immediately. And whenever she asked for any problem, she comes to help as fast as she could.
With her coffee-colored hair pulled back in a no-nonsense ponytail, her scientist cap shoved atop her head, and her mouth set in a firm line, she looked ready to take on this most difficult case.
On this small paragraph, they are describing Fossey as her shape, with her coffee-colored hair, with a ponytail, and with a firm line on her mouth, be ready to solve the most difficult cases.
Afternoon, Scientist Nell. Afternoon, Detective Doyle. And so saying, Nell rapped sharply on the door. Inside Gabby's house, Gabby pointed to a dark corner of the garage. There, she whispered. There's the blood-sucking monster, inside that garbage can. Hurry, get rid of it before it eats us all. Suddenly, the garbage can gasped. It trembled. It burped and yerped. It belched and yelched.
Okay, so they reached there and they met Gabby. When they met her, she said, "There, the monster is there. Go fast and get rid of him or get rid of it before it eats us all." And while they were looking at the garbage can, suddenly the garbage can gasped, trembled, burped, belched. What do these all words mean? So, when the garbage can gasped, it means as if it started to breathe. Okay? When it was tumbling, it means as if it was shaking. And burped and belched as if this can was making noise sound that comes from stomach. So they are describing the garbage can as if it is a person or an animal or a living thing. It was breathing, shaking, and making noise sounds from the stomach.
All in all, it was very scary indeed. Drake and Nell immediately went to work.
Although it was very scary, but they went immediately to work because for them, work is work. Whatever are we feeling, sad, happy, excited, scared, whatever, we have to work to find a solution.
They pulled on surgical gloves. Snap! Gabby edged toward the door. You're not going to take off the lid, are you? If there's a monster inside, Drake replied, removing the lid would be most foolish. Now stand back. We'll take it from here. They tapped the sides of the can. Sounds hollow, whispered Nell. She scribbled in her lab notebook and tapped again. Drake sniffed the air. Smells like fresh-baked bread, he observed. That reminds me. Ms. Talberg, isn't your dad a baker? The best baker there is, answered Gabby. He won the blue ribbon last year at the county fair. Why? Just wondering, Drake muttered, as he recorded his findings in his lab notebook. Meanwhile, Nell peered at the garbage can with her magnifying glass. She checked its temperature. She drew diagrams and charts. She was a most efficient scientist. Finally, Drake and Nell stood back and removed their surgical gloves. Snap! Let's think about.
So they took the garbage can and they started working. Gabby was asking them, "Are you going to take the lid?" So she was asking about the lid. What is the lid? Lid is the cover of the top of the can. He was just wondering to know if they are going to open the can or not. And he said, "No, we are not going to open it. If there is a monster and we open it, it's going to be something foolish because the monster will eat us." So they started working on the problem. Number one, they started to tapping on the can to know what is the sound inside, and the sound was hollow. So as if there is nothing inside it, as if it is filled with only air. So it's the first strange thing that happened. Like there should be a monster. When we are tapping, there is no sound, or the sound means it is hollow. There is nothing inside it. Number two, the smell of the can is like fresh baked bread. And number three, she started to check the temperature and she started to draw diagrams in charts. Fussy. Okay? So with all of these, tapping, smelling, checking, drawing, they just found that the can is found in beside something which is warm or beside something which is hot. What was it? Let's complete.
Well? Asked Gabby. Puzzling, said Drake. Fascinating, said Nell. Drake pushed up his glasses. Tell me, Ms. Tallberg, does your garbage can always sit here next to the furnace?
Okay, now when he said
Fascinating.
fascinating, it means that he found something, right? Now, what is the meaning of fascinating? Fascinating means it is extremely interesting. It is something really interesting. So it means that the head scientist, started to find hints about the problem or about the case. So he asked her a question. He told her, or he asked her, "Does your garbage can always sit next to the furnace?"
Well? Does your garbage can always sit here next to the furnace?
So he asked her, "Your garbage can is always here next to the furnace? What is the furnace?" Furnace is an oven, okay? So the garbage can is always sitting next to an oven. This is the first hint.
Gabby shook her head. My dad moved it a few days ago. Why? It's very warm next to the furnace, that's all, said Drake. 87 degrees to be precise, added Nell.
So they were talking about the temperature of the furnace or anything beside the furnace. Anything beside the furnace would be very warm because the furnace itself is really warm, and the degree was 87. And this is a hint that Nell Fossey is a precise person because she said or she gave the exact number of the degree, 87.
Curious. Very curious, mumbled Drake. He jotted a note to himself in his notebook. What are you going to do now? Asked Gabby. Nell and I will take the garbage can back to the lab for further analysis. Expect our report within 24 hours.
So they went to Gabby's house. They started to find the solution. They started to make observations, to think, to smell, to just tap on the can, to see the temperature, to draw charts. So they started making analysis to find the solution for the problem. Now, Doyle started to find some hints for solving this problem. He was a very curious person because he wanted to know what exactly was happening with the garbage can. So he took all the notes and he wrote them on his notebook. And then they said that they will take the can with them to the lab because they want to find more analysis So they want to put the things into parts. They want to think more inside the lab so they might know what is inside the garbage can. And he told Gabby, we might tell you what's happening within 24 hours. So after 24 hours, we might find the solution for your case.
Great gasping garbage! Drake and Nell slogged through mud puddles, lugging the garbage can between them. For a monster, it wasn't very heavy. Even so, Drake slipped and almost fell because his glasses had fogged. Nell helped him up and brushed him off. She was a great partner. And besides, she was his best friend. Finally, they pushed the garbage can through Drake's back door, dragged it up 2 flights of stairs, and into the attic lab.
So they were taking the garbage to the attic lab that they made at home. But what was really strange about the situation is that the garbage can wasn't very heavy. Although if there is a monster inside it, it should be extremely heavy. It wasn't very heavy.
They set the garbage can in a corner next to a heater. "We must simulate the same environment," said Drake.
So why did they put the can next to the heater? Because they wanted to show it, or they wanted to put it on the same degree, because the garbage can with Gabby was next to the oven, so it was in a warm place. So they put it next to the heater to be on the same degree that it was on the previous home, which is Gabby's home.
87 degrees to be precise, said Nell. Drake cleaned his glasses and put on his white lab coat. Nell did too, except she didn't have any glasses to clean. They stuck sharpened pencils behind their ears, sat on stools, and opened their lab notebooks. Drake pulled a book off the shelf and shuffled through it until he found the right page. It read, "Monster Analysis. What to do when your garbage is gasping."
So it is really good thing here that they are looking for other resources to help them with the problem. So they don't consider themselves as the smartest scientists on the planet, so they don't need any resource. No, they go, they find books, they find resources for themselves to help find a solution for any case they are just facing.
Just then, Drake's mom poked her head in the lab. Kate Doyle was a fine cook and ran her own catering company from home. Blueberry muffins were her specialty. Now Mrs. Doyle asked if they wanted any hot chocolate with their muffins, seeing that it was such a damp, drizzly day. "No thanks," Drake said politely. "Just muffins." Real scientists don't drink hot chocolate. Ditto for real detectives. And they were both.
Then their mother came. She poked her head in the lab. It means she stuck her head in the lab, and she was really good making desserts. So she asked them if they want to drink hot chocolate and to eat muffins. Drake said that the scientists, or one of the scientists, rule that they don't drink hot chocolate. See how he is accurate with the rules. He applied them one by one. The scientists do not drink hot chocolate, so no need for hot chocolate, we just eat muffins. So, what was happening here is that they were making observations, they were thinking of the solution, they were working together to find the last step, or what was happening to the garbage can exactly. Their mother came and she brought the muffins, and they completed working. Now, for today's part, we knew that we have 4 main characters: Drake Doyle, Nell Fossey, Gabby, and James Frisco. James Frisco is this bad, mad scientist. Gabby is the person who has the problem with the garbage can. Nell and Dork are the partners and they are the scientists. The head scientist is Dork, the partner is Nell. The setting, as I said, in his lab, in the attic of his home. And the second place or the second setting is in Gabby's garden, next to the oven. The problem that is Gabby called Doyle because she believes that there is a monster in her garbage can. The solution says Doyle and Fussy went to Gabby's home. Doyle took notes and Fussy made observations. Then they took the trash can to the lab and they made more observations. Now, it is the first solution for the story that they took the garbage can to try to find the solution and to make more observations so they might go a good solution for this problem. But still, we have to find another solution. Now, we knew that there is a problem with a garbage can, and we knew that scientists took the garbage can to solve the problem. Still, what did they find inside this garbage can? I really wonder to know what, and you too have the same feeling, I guess. But we will stop here for today. In next class, we will talk about the last part of the story, and we will find the last solution that talks about what did they find the garbage can. Is it really a monster or it is something else? So our lesson is found on the reading book, page 26, and if you don't have the book, you can find the link that I already added at the beginning of this PowerPoint. And you can find this PowerPoint on Edmodo again if you want to go back to the links that I just put. Your homework is read. I want you to record a video for yourself while reading the pages that I just added on the weekly plan. I know that most of you don't have the reading books, so please open the link that I added at the beginning of this show and read, then send me your reading as a video. I am really happy because I will see most of you reading today and I really miss you all. If there is any part unclear, please let me know. I am available all the time for you. I love you all and goodbye.